Bill and Pam Farrell have helped the world to understand that men are like waffles and women are like spaghetti. Understanding and delighting in your differences. You see, they didn't leave us there. They have gone on to help us navigate these strange worlds, diverse worlds. And I understand now it's 32 years of red hot monogamy for you two. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you know, I was reading one of the chapters in your book, developing kids to be learners and leaders.
That's right.
You've done it.
It's nice to be on that end. We are so excited to see how our learner and leader concept that we started when Brock was 4.
Is that your youngest?
That's our
or your
oldest, and he is now 28, happily married, has 2 children, 1 on the way. He's a leader, a coach. He's helped plant a church. He's just a really great guy, and the others have stepped into leadership as well. We have another son that's a coach at the University of Louisville in Kentucky, and then Caleb is a leader on
middle
his
son.
college.
You didn't say his name.
Yeah, Zachary.
Zachary.
And then Caleb's our youngest, and he's studying engineering on a football scholarship. All 3 boys got scholarships. And it's just nice to see they work with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. All of them are pretty involved still with that. And it's nice to see them stepping into leadership and making a difference in this world based upon some what we call forced Farrell family fun that we used to do once a year, negotiate privileges, responsibilities, put a little chart up, give them a present, applaud their uniqueness, and now it's turned into 3 young men that are making good decisions, so it's nice.
And Moira, our message really is that anybody can figure it out. Because we both grew up in homes that shouldn't be repeated.
That's right. That's why we're so desperate.
I mean, we have parents that love us. There's no doubt about it. But our parents just ran by their instincts, and they came from wounded families.
Right.
So they passed on that woundedness. And so when we got married, what we realized is, you know, we don't really know what we're doing. And when we had kids, we're like, if we follow our instincts, we're probably going to pass on woundedness also.
So one of the first prayers was, God, parent us so we can parent these kids.
And so we got very deliberate about raising our kids. That's why we got to think, okay, what should our goals for our kids be? You know, because I wanted goals that were more than just, I hope my kids aren't idiots and don't end up in jail. I was hoping a little more than that for them. And so we got to think, well, what do we really want them to do? And the 2 things, really 3 things we wanted for them is, 1, we wanted them to learn, because you don't grow if you don't learn. And we live in such a highly powered information society that if you're not learning, you're falling behind.
Yeah.
And then we want our kids to be leaders. And that didn't necessarily mean upfront leaders.
There's all kinds of ways to be a leader.
But not follow the crowd.
Exactly. Unless the crowd's going the right direction, then we're okay with that because they decided to do that. And then we wanted them to love God for themselves.
Own their own faith.
And we knew we couldn't make that happen, but we wanted to expose them to a real relationship with Jesus and hope that they would grab it for themselves.
Right.
And because they did that, all 3 of ours had a personal encounter with Christ. We look like really good parents.
Because Jesus got a hold of their hearts.
At what age did that happen for your boys?
They all came to Christ early, 6, 7 years old, all of them between 6 and 7.
But was that real for them then? There's so many.
Well, they all had an experience when they were teenagers that
Yes.
confirmed that, oh yeah, that was true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the childhood thing is awesome, and most people meet Jesus when they're young, but at some point they have to make it real for themselves.
And that was 16 and And years old.
Yeah.
You know, our middle son, it was actually in college. That
he
like,
had to do it a few times.
Yeah.
He's that kid that, like, you know that line between what's healthy for you and what's unhealthy for you?
You know, the Grand Canyon, where you shouldn't step over the rail? Yeah.
But he likes that line.
Likes the edge.
He likes to be as close to that edge as he can without quite going over. And so he had to confirm it a few times. And he finally, in his early 20s, finally said, you know what, this really is the best way to live.
Right.
Yeah.
So your kids didn't give you gray hairs?
Oh, yes. Zachary did.
Oh, he's the one.
Yeah, and he has now, it's wonderful now because he's engaged to a wonderful, sweet woman who loves Jesus, and they're going to church together. They're growing in their relationship with God together. So all those prayers, all those gray hairs, you know, I always encourage women and parents, don't give up. Don't give up. And in 10 Best Decisions, a parent can make, like, all the details of how we raise our kids are there, but a lot of the stories about the hard times and the way that God pulled us through those hard times are there too to encourage. I tell Zachary all the time, you probably encourage more than your brothers who obeyed, because some of the parents get hope because of your life.
Quick question before we leave. Your classic, over 280,000 copies sold. Pam, once the kids are out of the nest, are we less spaghetti? Are we still all enmeshed and tangled and
Yeah, we're
or is
still
there a release?
spaghetti.
Do we straighten out at all?
We're still
Okay,
spaghetti.
there is a outlet store near our house for children's clothes, and we have 2 granddaughters now. It is
Oh.
embarrassing to take Pam there.
Okay,
Because everything she sees, oh, that would look so cute on camera.
It's so cute.
I get
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
get it.
So we've
we just
added
transfer.
to the mix.
Yeah, that's right. We gain daughter-in-laws, and yeah, we have more relationships, so it's actually more spaghetti to manage.
Well, I brought this just because it's kind of, when the secular press is divorce, deceit, 10 ways to tell if your spouse is thinking of leaving you. We've never needed marriage counseling more than we do right now. And I thought you'd be impressed at this one. Marriage, it's really little acts of service that don't cost a huge amount. Pam, it wasn't even a book when you were in the process of writing the marriage code.
Right.
And what I took away from that was treat your spouse like company.
That's right. So simple. So simple. My sister-in-law was the first one to ever say that to me when she was newlywed, married to my brother. And I thought, my brother married well. He is going to have a nice life. And it's proved to be that case. They've been happily married for 28 years. And it is the small things, you know, oftentimes the free things. And we've been saying that for years, that it is the little things that you do, you know, just saying, you know, I'm going to the kitchen. Would you like some water too? Praying for your spouse before they leave, having a cup of coffee, kiss when you say hello, kiss when you say goodbye. You know, Bill and I have what we call romantic rituals. Those are those little things that you do to keep a romantic environment. Like we always say grace and then we kiss each other. It's just hard to stay mad at somebody you kiss that much.
And you know, both of those articles that you show, they demonstrate that people care about relationships. Like everybody's trying to figure it out. And they're either excited because it's working well, or they're really disappointed that it's not going well. And the skill of marriage, because that's really what it is, it's a skill. We all think it's going to be magical, because that's the way we see it in the media. As you go to a movie, you watch TV, it's either magical or it was magical and now it's not. Well, marriage works because you develop the skill to be able to do it. Like an interesting study came out recently that men who kiss their wives before they go to work in the morning live 5 years longer than men who don't.
And in 52 Ways to Wow Your Husband, I saw a different study that women who kiss their husbands and greet them good morning have a better day emotionally than other women. And so, I mean, there's like no downside to having
Do
some
not
of those
let
simple
them
things.
out that
That's
door.
right.
Without a connection.
And we hear all the time, marriage takes a lot of work. And I would say, well, of course that's true, because everything in life does, but the real issue is it takes the right work. Like I tell guys all the time, if your car needs oil and you spend a lot of time washing and waxing your car, we appreciate the effort, but it's not gonna meet the need. And when you begin to work smart in your marriage, it works. It becomes more efficient. The needs get met get quicker, and you find that you enjoy being together more. But for some reason, we don't want to get training in marriage, and so the Waffles and Spaghetti book has just been evidence that when you start to work smart, things get easier.
You know what comes to mind? Oh, my husband will shoot me. But company's coming, and he's going to go and clean out the garage. It's like, they're not coming to the garage. Why are you making that the priority? I think sometimes we're just wired so differently.
Yeah.
Well,
that
let
we
me
need
come
to
to
get
your
smart.
husband's defense. My whole life works better when my garage is clean and organized.
It is true when every tool is hung in its little pegboard.
Because
He's a
it
happy
lowers
man.
the stress in my life.
So that's a starting place for you too, Bill?
Yes.
When companies come.
Because I'm an introvert.
all the time.
Now I'm an introvert, which means dealing with people takes energy from me. So before company gets there, I need my stress level to be down. And if it is, I thoroughly enjoy the people that are there. But if we ramp up right before they come and we get all stressed and then we add people to it, I can actually not enjoy that evening. So if I go make sure the place that's a stress reliever for me is in order, I'm going to have a better time.
He tells better stories at dinner parties that way. So let him get in the garage, then he'll have fun later.
This study, by the way, 2,870 couples said number 1, sexual satisfaction, number 2, sense of commitment, and number 3, generosity, which gets into those little acts of service.
Yes, loving lavishly.
Interesting point made here. Since the 70s, the advent of the me generation in North America, the stress on the marriage has been that it's been seen as a vehicle for individual fulfillment.
Yeah.
You're going to fulfill me rather than serving your spouse.
That's right.
Is that what you find you're dealing with in all of your counseling and conferences? And what's your take on this marriage crisis?
Definitely. I think that being self-centered is destroying our marriages. When we're other-centered, that, the Bible's real clear, have this attitude which is also in Christ Jesus. You know, he's thinking of other people. He laid down his life for us while we were enemies even. And I think that when marriages have that attitude, they tend to work better because, well, even in Hot Monogamy, we talk about the Bible uses the term to know as the sexual reference. And that means it's other-centered. That's right. That means I'm trying to get to know my spouse.
Well, and personal appetites are never satisfied. Like if you have a good meal today, you're hungry tomorrow. And it applies to everything. When you are on this quest to meet your own needs, you have these moments that are really great, but then you're always dissatisfied later because you always just want more. And yet the way we're designed, when you meet another person's need, there's a deep sense of satisfaction that goes along with that. Like I love it when my kids succeed and I feel like I've been a part of their success. That lingers. The times that I have met Pam's need in a big way, those linger. And so when we are focused on others, there's this deep satisfaction that settles in, and there's actually a chemical component to it. Like the top 3 things on that list all produce oxytocin.
I love it. My favorite hormone.
Which bonds people. And most selfish acts don't do that. And so it builds this dissatisfaction that I thought this was going to be better, I thought this was going to be bigger, I thought this would last longer. And rather than say, okay, let's just stop doing that, and let's take a different approach. I'm just going to start serving and seeing if meeting her need is going to make me feel better. We ramp it up. Okay, well, I must need to do more for myself.
Or we give up.
Yeah. And so it's one of those counterintuitive things in life. When you serve other people, you get a deeper sense of satisfaction in life.
And that hormone does so much for us. It's a life extender, pain reliever, stress reliever.
Yeah.
God said, give and it will be
Given to you. That's right.
You can even be selfish in the way you look at it. You want to bless yourself? Look to others.